welcome to another episode of the Alt Pulse podcast.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Laura, and we're here to talk to you about our experiences with music in the rock, alternative and metal scene.
Now, today's episode will wrap up our experience of 2000 Trees. We're going to look ahead to the wonderful mayhem that will be Bloodstock Open Air 2025. And we'll also pay tribute to the one and only Prince of Darkness, John Michael Ozzy Osbourne, and we're going to share our personal feelings towards his passing and the legacy that he's left behind. So, yeah, Ozzy, gutted.
Yeah, that was...
Absolutely gutted.
I was so surprised when that news came in. I think I was just about to start making dinner that night. And, yeah, my mum messaged me out of the blue with just being like, I've just heard that Ozzy's passed away. And I didn't believe her at first because, you know, it was so close to the final Sabbath show.
To the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you texted me on the train, and even though I said, like, last year, I reckon, you know, his days are numbered. You know, he was not very well at all. He had Parkinson's. He was struggling in a lot of senses. I think all the stuff he did in the past kind of caught up with him a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the thought of a world without Ozzy Osbourne is still completely incompatible to me.
And despite his illness and stuff, it's still, you know, he still felt quite young to pass away at that age, you know.
He had youthful exuberance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in whatever he did.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is probably the main thing. I mean, listen, I could riff about how much I love Ozzy Osbourne and his work till the cows come home.
Yeah, we could make a whole episode.
We can
about
make
Ozzy.
this could end up being about 5 hours of me just riffing on how much I love the guy. But we are trying to condense this into a podcast format, obviously.
Yes.
So we thought we'd just give you a few bits and bobs, like a selection of some of his greatest moments in our eyes.
Yeah.
I have his autobiography here, I Am Ozzy, which is one of my favourite books, full stop, let alone musical autobiographies that I've ever read.
I can see it in front of me. And
we're going to read a few passages from this book.
We are, yeah. We've sort of gone through and picked our favourites. I've not read it back to front, but I'm planning on listening to it via audio, like, podcast
Honestly, if you haven't read I Am Ozzy, his autobiography, it is the wildest, funniest, most ridiculous book you'll ever read.
As you'll learn.
Some of it you can't believe even happened to him, you know what I mean? So we've just got a few bits and bobs that we're going to cover later. But right now, I think I'll cover kind of the music stuff, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to start at the beginning, as it were, Black Sabbath. I mean, before them, really, metal just wasn't a thing.
No, absolutely.
You could argue all you like about, you know, Cream or some of these other groups, proto-metal groups. But in terms of metal as it is kind of known as today, with darkness and heavy riffs and...
very doomy.
Doomy distortion. You know, I think it was Rob Zombie that said every other band since Black Sabbath just rips off Black Sabbath riffs and changes them, and Black Sabbath riffs are still the coolest riffs, you know.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, he's got a point, you know. It's like so many of these songs are just... I mean, we'll get onto our favourite Ozzy songs later, but they really were the pioneers of this genre.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look back again at the Back to the Beginning show, how many of those bands would actually exist without what Sabbath established all those decades ago?
100%.
You know?
And even bands you don't even think could be influenced, you know, like, obviously there's a case we met, the stoner doomy stuff and the Nola stuff, like Crowbar and...
Green Lung
and... you know, Candlemass, all these doomy sounding bands. Yeah, obviously that they're Sabbath influence, right? But if you think about it, like Metallica as well, and Slayer, like we watched Rick Beato's video the other day, introduced him, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, Seasons in the Abyss, the opening of that is pretty much a Black Sabbath riff.
Yeah.
And same with Wherever I May Roam, I think was the other song.
Yeah,
right?
I think
the
that was the one, yeah.
If you really stop and think about it, it's like Tony Iommi really was the guy who started to, the tritone thing with the, you know, impending doom sounding kind of...
Yeah.
you know. Again, I can riff about Sabbath until the cows come home, but, you know, podcast format, yada yada. Ozzy himself, I mean, he's as a result of being one of the founders of that genre, he's also the absolute archetype of what a crazy, charismatic frontman should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. Like when you think about, again, going back through all of those bands that were at the Back to the Beginning show, a lot of them probably took some similar mannerisms of what Ozzy was doing on stage. Obviously not to the extent that Ozzy himself did.
He really is, like, people talk about people who are idiosyncratic, and I overuse that word all the time to mean, unique or whatever, but Ozzy was absolutely just a one-of-a-kind performer on stage.
Yeah.
I say this as someone who has seen him live. I was very privileged to have seen him live 3 times. No one did it quite like him, and no one riled up a crowd quite like Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
And everyone who come along since going, I can't fucking hear you, I'll show you your fucking hands. That all came from Ozzy Osbourne originally.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just one of a kind.
Yeah, and Ozzy, unfortunately for me, falls into the category of Chester Bennington. I never got to see Ozzy live in the flesh. Obviously, I've seen countless videos online of what he's been doing, and obviously we watched the Back to the Beginning stuff, but like, it's just insane, like, how he had the audience in the palm of his hands, and
always.
That's something that I think a lot of from men and women in bands aspire to be like.
With the Back to the Beginning thing, obviously his health was very much compromised at that point, and he had to sit down the entire time. Apparently he was strapped in.
Yeah, he was. You could literally see it. You
could tell as well, the poor guy, he really wanted to stand up and do his usual. Me and Dan, who camping with us, we always do Ozzy impressions to each other because they're just so fun to do.
Yeah, and maybe
there was a point at the last Bloodstock we went to.
Yeah, I definitely have a clip of that, so I feel like we might have to include that in our Bloodstock vlog.
Maybe as an opener, that would be funny.
Yeah, but anyway, we digress.
But like, Ozzy, as a frontman, he is someone, even when I sing karaoke, Sabbath at karaoke or Ozzy at karaoke, I can't help but do the Ozzy back and forth. I can't fucking hear you. Waving your arms, jumping up and down, clapping. All 3 times I saw him live were at Download. And it was twice with Black Sabbath in 2012 and 2016 respectively. And then the last time I saw him, it was his own solo show, headline show in 2018. Mm-hmm. And 2012, Download 2012, they were very much a selling point for me. At that time, I was at uni and I was really kind of just getting properly into metal. Although I guess Sabbath really predated my kind of transition into being a metalhead, I guess.
Yeah.
I bought this book in like 2010,
And you can definitely tell by looking at it.
It's
had a lot of love.
It's had a lot of love over the years, But Sabbath were always they were always the sort of grounding for me getting into heavier music with and getting into playing guitar really as well. Like a lot of the first riffs I learned were like Paranoid and Iron Man on guitar. So I was well stoked with the 2012 thing, and it didn't start off great, that Download. I missed an entire day because of the weather. We'll probably get into Download, our previous Download or festival experiences another day, but Sabbath were the last band on. It was Prodigy, then Metallica, then Sabbath as the headliners.
Oh, wow.
And Metallica were playing the Black Album as well. That was awesome. But in terms of like a first, because that was my first ever festival as well. And in terms of ending my first ever festival, to see bona fide legends of the game for the first time in the flesh, I think I only got like 1 photo of that whole experience, which is unusual for me because I like to document.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, you've got to immerse yourself in that sometimes.
And it's like, I couldn't... And then as soon as Paranoid came up, I couldn't help myself. I had to get in that pit, I just distinctly remember. And then left immediately, found my mates from uni who I got a lift with, and it was kind of like, we were all just buzzing so much that we'd witnessed, that's kind of greatness.
Yeah.
Second time, Download 2016, it was very, very wet indeed. And my abiding memory of that was that I managed to get Barrier for this headline.
That's pretty good.
Which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If I do say so myself. it was just fantastic being that close to the action. You know, sadly, some litigation thing meant that none of the Sabbath highlights were shown on the Sky Arts program they used to do with the download highlights.
Yeah.
Because, and I remember a cameraman pointed a camera directly in my face as well, and I was obviously mugging off to it, and I was like, wonder if that will end up on the Sky Arts program. Never did.
It did not.
Sharon was side stage, and I remember one of the chants was "Sharon, give us a wave, Sharon, Sharon, give us a wave," and she looked suitably embarrassed, which was quite cool. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people said that wasn't their finest hour, that headline set. But if you know, I knew that was going to be the last time I'd ever see him.
Yeah.
Because you know that tour was billed as the end tour.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
In which they wrapped up in 2017. But yeah, the set list was just great, and Ozzy was just obviously on great form. You know, obviously, I think vocally, people said he wasn't that up to snuff. That's one of the reasons why they weren't feeling it. But like, I didn't care. I was seeing the Prince of Darkness right in front of me, like yards in front of me on that stage, and I got a fantastic photo of him doing his thing next to like a stack of burning Marshalls.
Nice.
Which is my cover photo on Facebook at the moment. Yeah, just so captivating. That whole band so captivating, and obviously Ozzy, the absolute epicenter of that. And I just remember feeling quite sad afterwards because I knew that would be the last time I'd see Black Sabbath.
Yeah. It's kind of bittersweet then.
Bittersweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just so glad I was there. I wouldn't have changed that experience for anything. And then finally in 2018 when I was with KB, and he again was closing the festival. It's a festival that was headlined by Avenged Sevenfold, Guns N' Roses, and Ozzy solo. And you know, there's an argument to be made that Avenged were probably the best technically to headline that. But again, to end a festival with Ozzy Osbourne and his solo output, I've never been as big of a fan of his solo output as I have been with Sabbath, but honestly, there's still some absolutely belting songs, you know, like Mama I'm Coming Home and Crazy Train obviously were highlights, and I remember KB was just sunburnt to fuck, and he was still trying to enjoy it despite all that.
Oh, bless him.
Shout out KB, how you doing, mate? Yeah, again, just really captivating, and Zach Wilde went into the crowd at one point. We were quite far back for this, but yeah, you know, that was my, you know, it's like, if that's a lot, I just do remember thinking, and I always do, because the thing with Ozzy when he was still alive, you never knew whether it was going to be his last run or not, because the guy was always a bit
of a party animal in his early days, and sometimes that does catch up with people.
Yeah, you could tell age was catching up with him, and little did I know it would be nearly, you know, 10 years. He would last for like nearly 10 more years. Yeah,
he was a bit of a fighter towards the end.
He was.
Sure.
I think this was probably just before his Parkinson's fully took hold. This was like one of the last gigs he did in the UK before he had to cancel that tour with Judas Priest.
Yeah, we know of quite a few people that were meant to be going on that tour, obviously, and then it got cancelled for various reasons. But the main crux of it was because Ozzy wasn't well, so he couldn't perform. So
I'm lucky that, in a sense, that was probably the last gig I could have seen where he was mostly fighting fit.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll never forget that experience ever.
Yeah.
And just to quickly go to, just speaking of which, the back to the beginning thing. Like you said, so many bands that are indebted, and so many huge metal bands.
Yeah.
Turned
like
up to
Metallica,
that.
Mastodon, Pantera,
Gojira were there.
Yeah,
everyone
Hailstorm were there.
It was ridiculous.
I'd say that like one of my highlights from that was the whole Youngblood stuff. Actually,
his cover of Changes. Honestly, if
so
you've never listened to it, I'm not even a big fan.
Neither of us are a big fan of his music.
I mean, that's unfair to say because I've never really checked out his music, but I feel like it probably wouldn't be up my alley. But see this guy come out and you know belt that song out, and it is a properly great cover of it. I suggest, and I think he's gone on record now to say that he's going to cover that song at every gig he does from now on.
Yeah, I think he has said that, and also if you buy it on iTunes or listen to it on Spotify, proceeds go to all the charities that are that were a part of the Back to the Beginning stuff.
Yeah,
so
incidentally, that gig raised about £140 million for I think it was Parkinson's UK.
It was a Birmingham Children's Hospital,
Birmingham
I
Children's
believe.
Hospital. So if nothing else, the guy absolutely went out,
Yeah.
As a complete Samaritan,
Absolutely.
And I mean, Youngblood, there's the clip of Youngblood backstage just really almost grovelling at Ozzy, going, I owe you so much. And Ozzy's in his wheelchair and everything. It's real.
Yeah, it just shows you how much of an impact he had, not on just the metal musicians in this world.
But also there's the non-music stuff.
Yes,
you can go
what a segue.
Segue.
Yeah. I mean, even if you didn't know Black Sabbath, or if you didn't listen to any of Sabbath or Ozzy stuff, like, he was just everywhere.
He really was. He was arguably the first rock star I ever was exposed to.
Yeah, because like when you think about all the adverts that he was on with World of Warcraft and
yes,
and
I've been the Prince of Darkness since 1979.
It was so good, that advert.
One of my favorite ones was the Pepsi Twists.
I was just about to bring up the Pepsi Twist one with the Osmonds. Sorry, I almost got.
No, but it was with the Osmonds, wasn't
it?
The idea was Kelly and Jack walk in and they try and show Ozzy the Pepsi Twists, and he goes, well, we're not the Osbournes. Well, you're not. And they unzip themselves and they're the Osmonds.
The Osmonds.
They're the Osmonds underneath.
Yeah, so there was all that stuff. He was in a lot of tech adverts towards the end of his life, actually. I think he was on like an advert for PlayStation VR or MetaQuest or one of those.
I think maybe the first advert I remember seeing him in was the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter with John,
I forgot about that.
John Coleshaw.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. The World of Warcraft one is just so poignant in my mind. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, and it was even like, I think Alistair McGowan was probably the first. He used to have a show called The Big Impression.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is well back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Probably what I shouldn't have been up watching it at that point, but he used to do a great Aussie impression. I think that was again the first. There was also Pop School. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't remember.
It's like an animated series on CBBC, and Ozzy was the headmaster.
Oh, I don't remember that. Again, like, Ozzy was in like so many random films, like Romeo and Juliet.
He just never seemed to say no to anything.
No, definitely not.
He was well up for a laugh, and as a working class lad from Birmingham, he was well up for.
He was always kind of proud of where he was from.
Yeah, he always seemed so down to earth, and you could. Lots of people probably back, when he was around, would call him a sellout for doing these adverts or whatever. But at the end of the day, he always had a laugh with everything he ever did.
Yeah, exactly. And like when you think about, the Osbournes TV show as well, like that was probably one of the first sort of like quote unquote reality TV shows that there ever was.
It was
on any sort of media.
It was an absolute cultural milestone.
Yeah, I remember the day after we sadly heard about Ozzy, we were literally just watching clips.
Binging clips from the I could spend an entire day just binging clips from the Osbourne.
Yeah.
Some of which, what sort of stuff would come to your mind?
The dog's pissing on the rug.
Who's pissed on my fucking carpet? That bastard dog, man.
And then when he was like getting fit for tour, and he was running around the jogging track, and then he comes back, tries to talk to the car in the early days of voice control.
The early days of voice control. Pardon me. Fuck off.
Fuck off.
Pardon me. Fuck off. What was it with the cat's on the kitchen table, and he's like, "Fuck off, Bill, Gus,
whatever your name is." But yeah, like,
and there's an argument to be made that he was obviously playing up that persona for the camera.
Yeah, but still, it shows you like sort of his sense of humour.
Yeah,
and how
it was so entertaining, and like I'm not a reality TV guy at all.
Yeah,
I can't stand most of it.
Yeah, but
quite frankly.
The Osbournes was just so different
because
to what was being on TV.
I think the thing with the Osbournes was Ozzy was a grounded working class lad from Birmingham who got lucky. And essentially, it's it was a fish out of water scenario, really.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of that was down to Sharon. But yeah, just talking about obviously the rest of his family, because obviously they'll have, been, just going through the motions these last couple of weeks. I really
feel for them, honestly, because they were a proper family that through thick and thin always stuck together.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say that, like, out of all of them, I'd say that Sharon is obviously the one that kind of sticks with me most in terms of like what she did. Obviously, she was on the X Factor in the early days.
Yeah.
So many good clips from back in them days when she was with Louis Walsh.
Yeah, throwing water over
Throwing
him, right?
water and then walking into a door.
Well, Sharon really kind of kept Ozzy's life in order.
Yeah, she was always sort of managing his life and all the tour stuff, and that was in between her own workload, and then obviously, you know, they were still raising, you know, teenage Kelly and Jack.
So I don't know. She was an absolute. Whatever you say about Sharon, and I know a lot of people have got a lot to say about Sharon Osbourne, but she saved Ozzy's life.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely,
and helped him merge him into this iconic figure.
Yeah,
that we know so much today. You know,
yeah,
when he didn't even know where he was, and he was a massive raging alcoholic, she always stood by his side, even when, you know, some of the not so savoury parts of his character emerged. You know, which I'm sure you can find out there. She stuck by him. So what a woman, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when she went. I didn't watch it. I just saw clips, but she went on Celebrity Big Brother a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that she was specifically asking like the producers for updates on Ozzy and stuff. I don't actually know who was looking after Ozzy during that time. But yeah, that was, you know, that was one of those things that she always did as well. She was always looking after Ozzy and the kids.
And the kid, I mean, we talk about the kid. I mean, yeah, I admire Jack Osbourne a lot because, you know, he's another guy who's been through the ringer and he has MS. And he's got kids of his own. And he, you know, he was hiking up mountains with Ozzy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was it Adrenaline Junkies he used to do? And
that
all
was
these
it.
shows. But he'd do some with. I want to watch that. I never saw it. That world tour thing that he did with Ozzy, where they go around the world to various weird locations.
No, I don't. I'm not familiar.
It seems to be like a MTV type dealio.
Yeah.
And then Kelly obviously had a very short pop career herself.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Kelly, but she wasn't like the strongest singer in that time period.
Having said that, probably the first ever, and I mean ever, song I can remember hearing from Ozzy
was
the
Changes.
Duet of Changes he did with Kelly.
That was everywhere.
Because it was on Top of the Pops in like 2003.
Yeah.
So that must have been the first Ozzy song I
Quite
ever
possibly.
heard.
And you would have been 10 years old.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of songs, favourite Ozzy songs?
Yes.
So I'll go for... I mean, there's just so many to pick. There really is. We don't have time to go for everything.
No, we don't.
Paranoid is one of my favourite albums ever made. Without question, you know, that was an album that changed my perspective on things, changed my life, made me delve into 70s rock and all sorts of stuff. I'm going to give a couple of solo shout-outs before I get into the Sabbath stuff. Ordinary Man, which was his duet with Elton John for his album that he released during lockdown of the same name.
Do you know what? I like that album was actually pretty decent.
It was brilliant. I thought it was... I mean, Patient Number 9, which was
I
his
really like
final
that
album,
song, I'm not going to lie.
Patient Number 9, which was his final album, I wasn't too keen on, if I'm being totally honest. But Ordinary Man is a fantastic record.
Yeah.
Like, he had no right to still put out records that good in his twilight years, you know. But that song, I mean, it also came out at a time where the world was at its bleakest, we were in lockdown. That song really, you know, it's very much a bittersweet song, again. Yeah. But it gave, you know, I enjoyed listening to it when I felt sad or whatever. And it's like, I think the other song, solo-wise, I want to talk about is Hellraiser.
What a tune.
Which is a massive tune from No More Tears, which was written by Lemmy as well.
Yes.
So Motorhead and Ozzy both covered that. Something about the parallels between one song being about his younger hell-raising days, literally, and travelling around the world for rock and roll, and then Ordinary Man, where he was getting a bit more frail, introspective. I think as a bookend of songs, for his I mean, obviously you could, you know, you'll go on about a couple more of his solo stuff, which is a bit early in that. But like, you know, he could be a quality songwriter when he wanted to. In terms of the Sabbath stuff, where do I even start? Planet Caravan, which I covered on Instagram recently as my own little tribute to him. One of my favourite gentle kind of psychedelic acoustic kind of ballady things. Yeah. It wasn't really acoustic to be fair, but it was just so I think Geezer himself openly admitted, yeah, we just wanted a song that we could get stoned to. So they wrote that, and obviously Pantera covered it as well.
Yeah.
Did a great version. Spiral Architect from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, which I think is a really underrated song. It's the last song on it. That whole album, by the way, kind of a lost gem in their discography, really, because it's, you know, it was sort of in the middle of the Ozzy years, and they were on a lot of drugs when they made that. But I do believe it is some of Ozzy's best singing on that record, particularly this song. And it's very, very proggy and very kind of... All the songs are quite long, but all the riffs are amazing, and Ozzy's singing is amazing. Sabracadabra, for example, from that same album, which Metallica have covered before. I was quietly hoping they'd do it at the Back to the Beginning, actually. That is one of my favourite riffs ever. And, Supernaut from Volume 4, which is one of Frank Zappa's favourite ever songs.
Yeah.
And if you're a good enough band to impress Frank Zappa, then I think you're doing something right. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
I could go on and on and on, you know. But we'll go for
I've got a few ones that you didn't mention. Some of them are obviously going to be the obvious ones, but I want to sort of say that, like, probably one of my first bits of exposure to a lot of sort of metal music is through Guitar Hero. Mm-hmm. I loved playing that game as a kid. And one thing that isn't on my list there, but I've just brought it up on my phone, Iron Man was on the very first Guitar Hero game.
Was it really?
It was.
That makes sense, because it's one of the riffs of all time.
Yeah. And I used to play that all the time. Like, I loved Guitar Hero so much. So a lot of my exposure to sort of, in my early days, to like the metal and sort of rock music is from that game. And actually, Paranoid, which is on my list, was also on Guitar Hero 3.
Amazing.
And I actually did play it fairly recently at an arcade, actually.
Yeah.
On an arcade machine, you can just play that, which is really cool. But anyway,
Paranoid, I mean, it's just one of those songs which is absolutely timeless. And
yeah.
It's a song that he ended every single gig he ever did with. For the reason that it always got the crowd going.
Yeah. It's a cracker at a silent disco as well.
Oh, really? Yeah. Bloodstock, take note. I really want an Ozzy Black Sabbath centric.
I think they've already said that, but we'll talk about Bloodstock later. But yeah, again, these two are kind of obvious, but like Crazy Train, everybody knows Crazy Train, and it's such a banger.
Randy Rhoads. I mean, I listened to the isolated Randy Rhoads solo at work today, and it's amazing because he actually recorded it 3 times and put them over one another to make it just even seem even more huge than usual.
Yeah. And then I guess sort of my last sort of shout out before we move on to reading some excerpts from the book and stuff, and just, you know, Bark at the Moon. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Jakey Lee, the riffs on that, and Ozzy's singing on that is amazing. People don't get, I don't think in life people gave Ozzy enough credit as a singer. They saw him more as a frontman, and obviously in his later years he wasn't as strong as he used to be, but if you listen to some of that early Sabbath stuff and his early solo career stuff, it's like he had a powerful set of lungs.
He really did.
You know, I did want to give one more shout out to Children of the Grave, because I know
I think we both put that down. Again, Children of the Grave was on Guitar Hero.
Yeah. That is arguably the first kind of stoner metal, doom metal song.
Yeah.
With that riff, you know, the chuggy kind of... It's every subpar doom metal, stoner metal band you find out there have undoubtedly ripped that song off. Mm-hmm. Even if you put that riff and make it like 100 more BPM, you get a fresh riff. Mm-hmm. So again, Black Sabbath, so much credit can be
definitely.
Made I mean, we're gonna wrap it up here. We'll do some excerpts from his book, I think, next, because the man, so this is I Am Ozzy, right? Everyone go out and read this or listen to the audiobook of this or whatever. The
I will be listening to the audiobook
just
for
ridiculous.
sure.
I'll let you do a segment first.
Sorry, I'm just refreshing myself of what I saved here. So this is from page 163, sorry.
Yes.
So, he said, I should have known that bad things were about to happen to Black Sabbath when we flew to America in 1974, and the bloke sitting next to me croaked it halfway across the Atlantic. 1 minute I was hearing this choking noise, like... The next, I was sitting next to a corpse. I didn't know what the fuck to do, so I pressed the button to call for a flight attendant. Yes, sir, can I help you? Said the chick, all prim and proper. This bloke's a goner, I reckon, I said, pointing at the lump beside me. Sorry, sir? He's kicked the bucket, I said, holding up the bloke's floppy left arm. Look at him, dead as a fucking dodo. The stewardess started to panic. What happened, she hissed, trying to cover him up with a blanket. Did he seem unwell? Well, he was making a bit of a choking noise, I said. I just thought his peanuts had gone down the wrong way. Then he turned white, his eyes rolled back in his head, and Bob's your uncle. Look, said the stewardess quietly, we're going to prop him up here against the window with this pillow. Please don't mention this to the other passengers. We don't want anyone panicking. To compensate you for your inconvenience, we can reseat you in first class if you like. What's the difference between business and first, I asked. Champagne. Magic. That was the beginning of the end.
I mean, that is just such a great story to illustrate his just straightforward, no political correctness sort of sense
definitely.
of humour. It's fantastic. This one comes from when he was just starting his solo career. And essentially he's going into a meeting with CBS with Sharon. And Sharon wants him to bring some doves in. I put down the bottle and took the birds from Sharon. Why don't I bite their heads off, I said, holding them up in front of my face. That'll make an impression. Sharon laughed, shook her head and looked out the window at the blue sky and the palm trees. I'm serious, I said. Ozzy, you're not going to bite their heads off. Yeah, I am. No, you're not, silly. Yeah, I fucking am. I've been feeling a bit peckish all morning. Sharon laughed again. I love that sound more than I loved anything else in the world. The meeting was bullshit. A bunch of fake smiles and limp handshakes. Then someone told me how excited they were that Adamant was coming to America. Adamant? I almost chinned the when he said that. It was obvious none of them gave a shit. Even the PR chick kept looking at her watch, but the meeting went on and on while all these suits with gold watches spouting meaningless corporate marketing bollocks, until eventually I got pissed off waiting for Sharon to give me the cue to throw the doves in the air. In the end, I just got up, walked across the room, sat down on the arm of the PR chick's chair, and pulled one of them out of my pocket. Oh, cute, she said, giving me another fake smile. Then she looked at her watch again. That's it, I thought. I opened my mouth wide. Across the room, I saw Sharon flinch. Then I went, chomp, spit. The dove's head landed on the PR chick's lap in a splatter of blood. To be honest with you, I was so pissed it just tasted of Contro. Well, Contro and feathers. And a bit of beak. Then I threw the carcass on the table and watched it twitch.
Aww.
The bird had shit itself when I bit into its neck and the stuff had gone everywhere. But I'll tell you one thing, it made an impression, alright? For a split second, all you could hear was everyone taking a breath at the same time and the photographer going click, click, then pandemonium. The PR chick screaming, ooh, 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 while a bloke in a suit ran over to the bin in the corner and puked. Then alarms started going off. Sean yelled in the intercom for security, get this animal out of here, now! At that moment, I took the other dove out of my pocket.
Oh, no.
Hello, birdie, I said to it, giving it a kiss on the head. My name's Ozzy Osbourne, and I'm here to promote my new album, Blizzard of Oz. Then I opened my mouth and everyone in the room went, no! But instead of biting its head off, I let it go and it flapped happily around the room. Peace, I said as two massive security guards burst into the room, grabbed me by the arms and dragged me out backwards. Meanwhile, Sharon was pissing herself laughing. She'd also been pretty pissed off with CBS for not showing enough enthusiasm about the album. You are banned from the CBS building, you freak show, said the chief security bloke. If I ever see you again, I'll have you arrested, do you understand? Sharon followed me outside, then she grabbed me by the collar and kissed me. That poor fucking creature, she said. We'll be lucky if CBS doesn't pull the plug on the whole record after that performance. They might even sue us, you bad, bad boy. So why aren't you giving me a bollocking then, I asked, confused. Because the press are going to fucking love it.
See, she was a woman who knew how to market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then this other one comes from like literally the page afterwards, but I thought it was so funny. And it involves another one of my musical heroes, Lemmy from Motorhead. Motorhead opened a few shows for us on that tour. They had this old hippie bus. It was the cheapest thing they could find, and all Lemmy would carry around with him was this suitcase full of books. That's all he had in the world apart from the clothes on his back. He loved reading, Lemmy. He'd spend days at a time doing it. He came up to stay with us at the Howard Hughes house one time. He wouldn't leave the library. Don Arden found him in there, who's Sharon's dad, and threw a fit. He stormed into the lounge and shouted, Sharon, who the fuck is that caveman in my library? Get him out of my house. Relax, Dad, it's just Lemmy. I don't care who he is, get him out of it. He's in the band, Dad, they're supporting Ozzy. Well, for Christ's sake, at least get him a deck chair and put him out by the pool. He looks like the undead. Then Lemmy came strolling into the room. Don was right. He looked horrendous. We'd been out in the piss the night before, and his eyes were so red they looked like puddles of blood. But as soon as he saw me, he stopped dead in his tracks. Fuck me, Ozzy, he said. If I look half as bad as you do, I'm going back to bed right now. Yeah. Lemmy, obviously Lemmy was a great friend to Ozzy as well.
Yeah, he was.
And I love... If you ever check out the 30th anniversary edition of the Hellraiser, the song, someone kind of put both their voices together, and it's amazing.
Yes. So I'm going to read another story about chomping something off.
Oh, no. I think it could be the story, right?
It might be the story. So, on the 20th of January 1982, we played the Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa. I'll never forget the name of that place, that's for sure. Or how to pronounce it. Des Moines. That's how it says it in
That's
the
where
book.
Slipknot from.
Yeah. The gig was going great. The godlike hand was working without any hitches. We'd already hung the midget. Then... Sorry, I totally read that like really badly.
We'd already hung the midget.
We already hung the midget. Then, from out of the audience came this bat. Obviously a toy, I thought. So I held it up to the lights and bared my teeth while Randy played one of his solos. The crowd went mental. Then I did what I always did when we got a rubber toy on stage. Chomp. Immediately, though, something felt wrong. Very wrong. For a start, my mouth was instantly full of this warm, gloopy liquid, with the worst aftertaste you could ever imagine. I could feel it staining my teeth and running down my chin. Then the head in my mouth twitched. Oh, fuck me, I thought. I didn't just go and eat a fucking bat, did I? So I spat out the head, looked over into the wings, and saw Sharon with her eyes bulging, waving her hands, screaming, "No! It's real, Ozzy, it's real!" Next thing I knew, I was in a wheelchair being rushed into an emergency room. Meanwhile, a doctor was saying to Sharon, "Yes, Miss Arden." Oh, she wasn't married then.
No, they weren't married.
The bat was alive. It was probably stunned from being at a rock concert, but it was definitely alive. There's a good chance Mr. Osbourne now has rabies. Symptoms? Oh, you know, molesy, headache, fever, violent twitches, uncontrollable excitement, depression, pathological fear of liquids. Not much chance of that, muttered Sharon. Mania is usually one of the final symptoms. Then the patient gets very lethargic, falls into a coma and stops breathing. Oh my God! That's why eating a bat is generally a bad idea from a medical standpoint. Isn't there a vaccine? It's usually best administered beforehand, but yes, we can give him a shot. A few shots, actually. Then the doctor went to get a syringe the size of a grenade launcher. "Okay, Mr. Osborne," he says, "you'll need to take off your pants and bend over." I did as he said. This might sting a bit. That was the last thing I heard. Every night for the rest of the tour, I had to find a doctor and get more rabies shots. One in each arse cheek, one in each thigh, one in each arm. Everyone hurt like a bastard. I had more holes in me than a lump of fucking Swiss cheese. But it was better than getting rabies, I suppose. Not that anyone would have noticed the difference if I'd have gone insane. So that's the story.
Yeah, that's the famous story.
Yes.
Yeah. It kind of always used to annoy me that anyone would talk about is that
the
story.
bat. Yeah.
But it is quite...
It is quite infamous.
It has gone down as legend. I think that and Marilyn Manson having a rib removed are like the two things that everyone goes on about in rock and roll folklore. You know, except this one actually happened.
Yes.
This is my last story, actually.
Yeah.
This is pretty ridiculous, and this really does sum up the excess that he got up to in the 80s. Sharon was convinced something bad would happen, so whenever I'd been drinking in the hotel, she'd steal all my clothes, so there was no way I could leave or get into trouble, unless I was prepared to walk down the lobby stark bollock naked. It worked, most of the time. But then we got to San Antonio, Texas. As usual, I got shit-faced in the hotel, and as usual, Sharon nicked my clothes. But she made the mistake of leaving one of her evening gowns in the room.
Oh, no.
It was this dark green frilly thing, and with a bit of ripping and tearing at the seams, I got it on. Then I found some running shoes, and I was off. So there I was in Sharon's evening dress, on the loose, slinging this bottle of Courvoisier around the streets of San Antonio, looking for trouble. I think we might have had a photo shoot going on that day, but I can't remember for sure. I do know that I was blasted. Then I got this sudden urge to take a piss, as you do when you're blasted. Actually, it was more than an urge. My bladder felt like a hot cannonball. I had to go right there, right then. But I was in the middle of this strange town in Texas, and I didn't have a clue where the public bogs were. So I looked around, found a quiet corner, and started taking a slash against this crumbly old wall. Ah, that's better. Then I heard this voice behind me. You disgust me. What? I turned around to see this old timer in a cowboy hat staring at me like I just molested his gran. You're a disgrace, you know that? My girlfriend nicked my clothes, I explained. What else was I supposed to fucking wear? It ain't the dress, you limey piece of dirt. The wall you're relieving yourself on is the Alamo. The Alamo what? Before he could answer, 2 fat Texan coppers came puffing round the corner, radios crackling.
Oh, no.
That's the one, said the old bloke. Him, in the dress. Bam. I was face down in the dirt being handcuffed. It took the moment for it all to click. I'd definitely heard of the Alamo. I'd seen the John Wayne movie a few times, so I knew it was a big deal place where lots of Americans had been killed while they were fighting the Mexicans. Hadn't made the connection between the old wall I was pissing on and the ruins of a sacred national monument. You're a Brit, ain't you? One of the cops said to me. So? Well, how would you feel if I urinated on Buckingham Palace, huh? I gave it some thought, then I said to him, I've no idea, I don't fucking live there, do I? That went down a treat, that did. When I finally went back, I remember this scrawny Mexican kid come up to me after the show. Ozzy, is it true you got busted for pissing on the Alamo? He asked me. Yeah, I told him. It's true. Shit, man, he said. We piss on it every night on the way home. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
One of the more famous stories.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got one more story before we wrap up this segment of the podcast.
Yeah.
And,
I could go on for ages.
Yeah, you told me this one before.
Could go. Honestly, do yourselves all a favour and get the audiobook of this or read this book. It really gives you a tremendous insight into the character that he was.
Absolutely. So in this part of the book, we're quite near the end of it actually, but they're looking to buy a new house.
I think I know what's coming.
You know what's coming. So I'll start it from here. Then I went out with Sharon to look at houses, which was actually a rarity for me because as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing fucking worse than house hunting. But on this occasion, Sharon really wanted me to see a place that was owned by Roger Whittaker, the easy listening guy, because it had a recording studio in the basement. I had nothing else going on, so I couldn't say no. When we get to the house, the estate agent is waiting for us outside. She's a posh chick in her late 30s, green Barber jacket, pearls, the whole deal. Then she gets out this big chain of keys and lets us through the front door. But as soon as I step foot inside the hallway, I begin to feel this apocalyptic rumbling in my arse. I'm thinking, aye, here we go. The colon cleanser's kicking in. So I ask the chick where the nearest bog is, shuffle over there as fast as I can without looking conspicuous, slam the door behind me, sit down and set free this massive torrent of liquid shit. It goes on for so long it feels like I'm giving birth to the Mississippi River. When it's finally over, I started looking around for some shit roll. But there isn't any. I stand up and think, fuck it, I'll just have to go unwiped until we get home. Then I realise the shit's gone all over the back of my legs, so I didn't have a choice. I've got to wipe myself down with something, but there isn't even a flannel. So I ended up just standing there, trousers down, paralysed, trying to work out what to do. Then Sharon knocks on the door. Bam, bam, bam. Ozzy, are you okay? I'm fine, thank you, darling, I say. You're taking an awfully long time. Won't be long, darling. Hurry up! Finally, it comes to me. The curtains! I'll wipe my ass with the curtains! So I rip them down and do what needs to be done. But then I've got another problem on my hands. What the fuck am I supposed to do with a pair of Roger Whittaker's shitty curtains? I can hardly bring him out of the bog with me and ask the estate agent for directions to the nearest toxic dump. Then I think, well, maybe I should leave a note. But what would it say? Dear Roger, sorry for shitting on your curtains. Love the whistling. Cheers, Ozzy. In the end, I just rolled them up and hid them in the bath behind the shower curtain. If you're reading this, Roger, I'm terribly, terribly sorry. But how about buying some shit roll in the future, eh? I feel like that's
Brilliant.
A story that my dad would love.
Yeah, brilliant. There's a couple of closing remarks we can make. So his funeral procession is actually taking place tomorrow.
Yeah, on the time of recording this.
And we've seen the live stream of the bench, right? The Black Sabbath bench. And it is just full of tributes.
There's
and
so
flowers.
many flowers and stuff like that.
Covered.
We're on about like potentially taking the detour to Birmingham on the way back from Bloodstock.
Potentially, yeah.
Pay our respects
own
there.
respects. Although at Bloodstock they do have a condone, like a wall where you can put your condolences.
Yes.
I'm very much tempted on that wall to write, Who's the beer
Who's
thief?
the beer thief?
You're the
I'm
beer
sure
thief.
someone will be eyeing that up as well.
But to find out what we did do, catch our vlog.
Yes, coming soon.
But yeah, it's taking place on Wednesday 30th. Procession takes place ahead of a private funeral, so fans can line the streets and pay their final respects. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the best things I read in the aftermath of this was there's a saying that people die twice, right? You die once physically,
Yeah.
and then the second time you die is when people forget about you. And
Oh.
I think all the tributes and all the outpouring of love from so many people over these past few, this past week and these past few days, surely that means Ozzy's going to be immortal, right?
Well, yeah, you think...
As corny as it sounds, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like...
you think about the generations of kids that are going to be knowing Ozzy's music because of their parents, and then it's just that chain of command, essentially.
Exactly,
And the legacy, again, like we mentioned earlier, with what Sabbath have done to metal music, that's never going to be taken away.
It's an absolutely immortal, indestructible lineage that the guy has, and rest in peace,
Yes,
Ozzy.
rest in peace.
We love you very much, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me to become a better person, helping to introduce me to amazing music. Yeah, there you go. Shall we cover something else? I don't know how long we
That was a little bit more than we scheduled, but it's fine.
But it's fine.
It's absolutely fine.
It's worth it, to
yeah,
honour
absolutely.
that.
Like I say, we are planning to go in person to Birmingham and pay our respects. And stuff
also
there.
we're going to pay our own respects at Bloodstock as well.
Yes, so that'll all be... it'll feel weird. I always find it weird, like, when people film that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Whenever, like, anything goes off and there's people with, like, their phones out, I find it odd.
I get that.
Do you know what I mean? I prefer when it's stuff like that to just be in the moment, pay my respects my way, and...
Sure. No,
yeah,
I get that.
It's a bit of a weird one.
Well, I'm sure Bloodstock have got plenty of plans to honour Ozzy.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll talk Bloodstock in a minute, but I do want to wrap up our little escapade to 2000 Trees.
Yes, obviously Trees was, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I miss it. I love being at Trees every time that we go.
Yeah.
There was so much that we didn't include in the vlog as well that we kind of want to talk about here.
Well, including the fact that I also forgot to mention I met Dan P. Carter from Radio 1's
yeah,
Rock
you did,
Show.
yeah.
Just before Alexis on Fire, I was sitting on the floor eating my last Amy Swinehouse, which I'm praying is going to expand to other festivals, although I think it's pretty much Cheltenham based, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So maybe if we ever go to Arctangent, it might be there.
And he seemed pretty aimless. I think he was just about to queue for something, but he seemed pretty aimless. So I thought, just the way I approach famous, semi-famous people or famous people, I never like to interrupt or kind of...
Yeah,
if they're clearly in the middle of something.
Yeah, that's my...
But he seemed kind of pretty just looking around. So I was just
Yeah.
like, hey, Dan P. Carter, how you doing, sir? Had a good conversation. He seemed to be enjoying the vibes and everything. Didn't ask for him for a picture because I thought that was...
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't feel like... Dan is probably like that.
Oh, he's
but
probably
you know what I mean?
top
like,
geezy, but
yeah.
like, I can say I've met him anyway. So it's
Yeah.
good. And also the legend that is Gemma Edwards.
Yes.
So Gemma was a DJ who basically plays a load of Kerrang kind of pop punky
pop
stuff.
punky, sometimes new metal. And yeah, she was one of the DJs at the Silent Disco this year, actually.
Yeah, but she was also a key figure during lockdown for us. On the nights where we couldn't go out, it felt like we were in a rock club.
Yeah, and you could like put in requests and stuff.
Yeah. And we kind of, this is the first time I ever met her in person, but she knew who I was. Because of, all those years ago during lockdown,
Twitch.
hanging out on Twitch, which I think was amazing. And she is the loveliest person.
Yeah, I didn't see Gemma, but yeah, she is a gem from what I've heard from
as
everybody.
lovely and personable in the flesh as you'd think. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to you, Gemma.
Yeah, so I wanted to cover something that happened after Trees, actually. So you may remember from the vlog that we were quite disappointed with what happened with Lover's Noise and their laptop dying and stuff. Fair play to the guys, because they've actually made a funny t-shirt to commemorate this moment.
Yes.
I forgot what it says on it. I think it says something along the lines of, ever since 2000 Trees, we no longer use a laptop for backing tracks.
Yes.
And they
you think fair play to them.
Yeah, they've taken it on the chin.
They've owned
that
moment.
moment. Yeah. And I think they said something along the lines of, if we don't sell 25 of these, then everybody gets a refund.
Well, I do feel bad for him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I came across as a bit harsh in the vlog or whatever, but I do really like that band a lot.
Yeah.
And it was more out of real disappointment that I couldn't see a whole set.
I know, yeah. Hopefully, again, like we said in the vlog, they'll get some sort of redemption arc.
Yeah, maybe
or maybe if they
Trees
play,
next year,
or if they even maybe play a support slot in the future for a band that we like. I could you say that they could support Loathe maybe in the future?
They're definitely of that ilk.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to mention. Obviously, there's a plethora of bands we couldn't mention, but
yeah. So like, I'd say that one that I wish I sort of mentioned a little bit more about was Vexed, because they were incredible. I'd never seen Vexed before, and if I had to sort of do an honorary mention or mentions, Vex would definitely be in that category, because
it was a long time coming for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I've been a big fan of theirs since like the COVID times, and it was great to finally see them, and hopefully they'll be back in some capacity soon.
Sure. Hail the Sun, for me, I thought was absolutely fantastic, and I they kind of slipped my mind ever so slightly when I was talking about bands I liked.
Yeah.
Frontman's really charismatic, throwing his microphone about. I watched him with the guys from the Ragamuffins. Shout out those guys, love you guys. They put them in like their top band of the whole festival, which I was, very pleasantly surprised by. Sparta, it was so great seeing Sparta. They were my favourite discovery, even though no one was at the main stage at that point, because the sun was so horrendously hot at that point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had to make some sacrifices.
Well, that's fair, but I think they're great. I really do, and it makes me want to delve deeper into their discography.
Yeah.
And then there's multiple others. Grieving I thought were quite good, and a bunch of other bands. I mean, if you want all of our thoughts on all the bands that played, maybe check out the podcast before this one
the vlog.
No, the podcast where we covered.
We
covered some of that. Well, check out the vlog as well.
Yeah,
because I really want to get some more views in that. We worked.
I think we're at about 200ish now,
which is
and our
great,
sub count is slowly going up as well, which is always nice.
And that's great, and we appreciate you guys a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
I would love some more views on that, because that's one of my favourite vlogs we've done.
We definitely worked together, obviously, to get it out a little bit quicker than last year's
vlog.
We did,
and we also tried to make it as streamlined as possible, which is easy feat considering the amount of footage I shot.
Yeah, we saw probably at least 50 bands between us.
The one thing I can't believe I forgot to mention in this story, and it is very much kind of a story out of potentially I Am Ozzy.
It probably is,
in its ridiculous ludicrousness. After Harriet,
yes,
a guy walked up to me and was like, "Oi, mate, my mate's got no nose." And of course, the first instinct you want to say is, "How does he smell?" Terrible. You think it's a pub joke, right? And he's like, "Oi, so and so, show him." The guy literally takes off his nose. He has a prosthetic nose, and there is a hole where his nose should be.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And I'm trying not to sell it. I'm just trying. I'm like,
oh, see, if I was there, because Rob came up to tell us about this after Harriet, because you went further in than
a little
we
bit
did.
Further in.
I kind of had all of our mixer and stuff with me, because we took in our whiskey to see Harriet. And we were waiting for Rob to come back so we could go and do silent disco at the camp. And when you told us that, I was like, I would have been like, that's really cool. You were a little bit more.
It was cool. Don't get me wrong. It was unusual. I've never seen. I mean, any guys at Bloodstock, if you can top that,
then
we'll get you a drink. But I say we'll get you a drink. One of the things I do want to point out with 2000 Trees, I spent a lot of money.
Yeah, you spent more than me.
A lot of money, and it was on a good cause. I'm very, very
Heroes
happy
by Beros, after
Heroes
all.
by Beros and Heroes by Merch. Oh.
I mean, to be fair, I bought quite a bit of merch when you think about it. I didn't show it in the vlog, but I bought a Heaven She shirt immediately after we saw Heaven She on the Friday.
You did find a Heaven She shirt, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was so close to getting the Vukovi print, but then I thought, we haven't really got anywhere else I'd want to put it, because I want to save some of the space that we do have left for some other stuff.
I finally got an Unpeople shirt after
I also bought
a long time of, I think I tried like you saw on people supporting.
It was Vukovi earlier this year. Yes,
and I was like, oh, they got any shirts? Let me know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, by the time they got to Kentish Town Forum, they'd all sold out of the shirts. But luckily, they had them reprinted again for 2000 Trees. So we both
nab one of those.
We both got a different design
Each, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a Super Bloom shirt as well.
Yes.
Not the best shirt I've ever bought. I think, lads, if you're listening, you need to butt the shirt ideas up. But I wanted to support that band because I thought I think they're great. Any band that has that 90s grungy aesthetic, I'm always going to full hook, line, sinker for.
Yeah, I can also now mention the other bit of merch that I bought.
Oh, yes, of course.
So in my merch bag on the Wednesday, I got a lineup shirt, obviously, as I do every time I'm at Trees. But I also bought a baby grow because the day before we went to Trees, one of my best friends, Casey, gave birth to her now daughter.
Who you actually probably would have seen in the very first video we put out.
Yes, that's true. So at Slam Dunk, it was Casey and Jade who was with us.
Yep.
Jade also had a baby grow from me last year at Trees. So it's a running theme. So any friends, any friends who end up having kids will probably end up getting a festival baby grow from me at some point. So yeah, it was Casey's turn this year, so I can finally mention
Shout out
that.
Casey and Robin, of course.
And Robin, yes, and James.
Oh, and James. Of course. You had a hand in it somewhat as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of how much I spent about 200 quid. And I think I want to be a lot more frugal at the festival we're going to talk about now. The festival in question is Bloodstock.
Yes.
2025.
Yes, I'm so excited to be going back to Bloodstock.
And it's next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
I can't believe how quickly it has come around. That is ridiculous.
We are, 9 days away from when we're there?
Absolutely ridiculous.
Because we're not... So, yeah, for the record, we are not there on the Wednesday early entry. Mainly it's the fact that our camp are not there on the Wednesday, so that's the main thing. Other thing is, obviously, it was an extra add-on to your ticket already.
Yeah.
And, I just didn't really have the annual leave
as well. I mean, and plus, there's no bands. It's kind of... It's settling in.
It's almost kind of like... Yeah, it's like the Wednesday of download, almost.
Which, I don't know if that means I'm going to be more stressed when we get there. I'm just preparing for that now. Like, because... Bloodstock is sold out this year.
It is.
Which is incredible, first off.
Yeah, I don't think when we last went to Bloodstock it was sold out. I think day tickets were sold out for the Sunday, but I don't think the festival as a whole was sold out.
But the festival as a whole was completely sold out, and I couldn't be happier because these lot have worked so tirelessly over the past... 25 years, something like that?
Yes, so next year will be the 25th anniversary of Bloodstock.
It'll be next year's 25th, of course, yes.
Because they will be announcing 25 bands for the 25th anniversary right after Lacuna Coil, so we will... I'll be pretty close to the main stage at that point.
Well, I mean... We'll start off with the prep that we've done for this anyway.
I would say that we've not done that much prep just yet.
No,
obviously,
we've left a little bit behind from Trees. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the boring adult stuff's done. Like, I've caught up on all the washing and, I've tidied up the flat from all of the shenanigans and stuff. But other than that, I've not packed yet. We've got our food shop to do. I think the main crux of our prep is that we've already pre-booked our beer.
Yes.
We've already pre-booked our merch.
Yes.
And that's all getting picked up throughout the festival, essentially.
So that's where the bulk of my money this year, I reckon, is going, on the pre-booked beer and the pre-booked merch.
So we decided to go for... Was it the Road Crew?
So I decided to order Road Crew, which is the Motorhead Pilsner.
Yeah, we had that the last time we were there, and it's really nice.
And then the other beer is Solvent Haze.
Yes.
Which is the
Harriet Signature Brewery collaboration.
Can't wait to try that.
I'm very excited. So we bought a full crate of each. Obviously, we've got our whiskey and stuff left over from 2000 Trees that we didn't quite finish.
Yeah, so we're taking that with us. But honestly, anyone out there who wants to sponsor us, I would love for a band-based beer.
That would be so good at some point.
So I could get some free band-based beer. Because I still have my my Bleed From Within Fracture coaster and glass.
Yeah, I bought you that for Christmas.
I've never actually tried the beer itself, and I think it's long gone at this point.
I think so. But yeah, obviously the other bit of prep, I guess, is just sorting out who we're camping with, where we're camping. We're going to be heading for Ironwood this year.
I think so, yeah. Well, partly because I reckon Midgard is going to be rammed by the time we get there.
And obviously we also don't have access to the new quiet camp that they opened up post sellout.
We don't want it to be totally quiet, you know. I mean, I like a good vibe.
Yeah, I think Ironwood is like, from when I've obviously been there as a visitor, I wasn't obviously camping in. So the first time that I went to Bloodstock, and the only time thus far that I've been to Bloodstock, was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. It was before we had this channel and before we had the podcast. And Rob had been to Bloodstock before.
Only once before, to be fair. It was the first festival I went to after coming out of lockdown.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the pilot, the download pilot.
Yeah,
I did kind of regret that a little bit. But
I couldn't do it.
But I love I love that it was my very first Bloodstock, so it was a brand new festival. So it was a brand new experience in the sense of it was a brand new experience coming out of lockdown and finally going to a proper festival after 18 months or however much it was.
Yeah.
And just a new experience overall. And that, because we were kind of still in the throes of COVID, it was a very British-centric lineup. Really, the only international artist that came over for that one was Devin Townsend.
Yeah,
and he had to isolate in his hotel room.
Was it like 2 weeks?
Something like that. He had to isolate in his hotel room for 2 weeks. God bless that man. And make a band out of local British musicians.
Yeah, and I think they only rehearsed once.
Yeah, and it was one of the best festival sets I've ever seen.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. Like, I mean, Devin's obviously a bit of a veteran in the game, obviously.
I love Devin Townsend, for the record. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that, but he's one of my favourite people in the music industry.
Yeah, I've only ever seen him once before.
But this, like, his performance had an elephant. Like not a real elephant.
Yeah, you should probably preface it wasn't a real elephant.
But like a guy in an elephant costume on stilts.
Yeah.
And he also had a giant gorilla costume guy on stage. He played some Strapping Young Lad songs, which is always great. He played Deadhead, which is one of my favourite songs of all time. It was just fantastic.
Yeah,
experience.
If I'm not mistaken, that set is actually in full on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I've watched that.
Well, go and check it out because it was absolutely amazing.
It is really good.
That was one of the standouts. That obviously it was meeting all the friends I made, or experiencing a festival for the first time with mates that I made over COVID.
Yeah, and obviously those friends are the ones that we camp with at Trees every time that we go.
Yeah.
And Bloodstock was the first one that you guys did. Unfortunately, I did not make that Bloodstock. I think, if I remember correctly, not only did I not buy a ticket, but also because of the way that the rules were in the UK at that point, my dad actually got COVID right that week of the festival, because Rob was meant to come and visit. This was before we lived together and stuff. And Rob was meant to come and see me before Bloodstock. But because of my dad, Rob couldn't come. And obviously we weren't going to jeopardise Rob not going to Bloodstock because of it.
Yeah,
so.
It was a strange time.
And it was against the rules, obviously.
It was a very strange time, wasn't it?
It was.
But other highlights of that, saw Judas Priest for the first time. That was a hell of an experience. Rob Halford can still fucking go at his age. Mm-hmm. Seeing the Wild Hearts. The last time before that lineup disintegrated into the mess that ended up being was very much a good experience. Higher Power subbed for Loathe because Kadeem from Loathe I think got COVID. So
I remember.
Higher Power subbed in, which was
another thing that was kind of funny about that is that because obviously I was at home working, I was texting you all the updates if any bands pulled out last minute. Yeah, because you did manage to get some signal at Bloodstock, so we were texting and stuff while you were there.
Signal in general, I think signal at Bloodstock is not as bad as 2000 Trees.
No, I don't know whether my little hack will work this year, but I remember I was sat in the Sophie on the Sunday in 2023, which was my first Bloodstock, obviously. And I remember I did a little setting on my mobile data and I was able to get signal in the Sophie. But again, with it being a sellout year, I'm not sure how the signal's going to be this year.
Could be a bit more difficult. And just a couple of other mentions from that year. Bleed From Within on the main stage.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was the first ever time I saw Bleed From Within as well, and that was a hell of an experience. Brian Blessed coming out to introduce Saxon.
Yeah, I did hear that was a thing.
That was a hell of a lot of fun. Seeing Phil Campbell and the Bastard Son, Motorhead songs being played by one of the former members, that was a great experience. Green Lung on...
Did they play main stage?
No, there was Sophie.
Oh, was it Sophie? God.
This was before they really blew up. And also seeing my OG boys, Famine.
Yes.
At that festival, which I'm going to talk about a bit later.
Yes.
But yeah, it was just that was a really, really cool festival. And then obviously the one we both went to.
Yes, 2023 was really, really good.
That was fantastic. And
yeah.
then, Killswitch, one of my favourite bands of all time, Killswitch Engage.
We got to meet Killswitch
We
as
got
well.
to meet. We were in the signing queue, which takes place in this place called the Ram Gallery, which is like an actual legitimate gallery full of stuff, mostly painted by the guy. His name Paul Gregory, I think.
Yeah,
the guy who founded it all. He was like a painter,
Mm-hmm.
and it's incredible artwork. And that year, because Mike D from Killswitch does all the album artwork, and a lot of his works were like blown up,
plastered up,
and looking above where we're sitting now, I ended up buying one of the posters.
You did, yeah, the Disarm the Descent.
Disarm the Descent poster.
Yeah, and we got them to sign, I think that's my CD pamphlet from that album.
Well, yeah, you got them to sign the Disarm the Descent cover, and I got them to sign one of my favourite albums of all time, Alive or Just Breathing.
Yeah. And
I got to hug Jesse Leach and tell him how much his lyrics meant to me. So I can die happy now.
Yeah, that was a good highlight.
It was a bit of a shame that we had to be so quick about it, because the way it works is they're literally like, get him to sign one thing and then move on kind of thing. You know, it was like about 30 seconds worth of chat, if that you could get from...
It was obviously like, so that same festival I also met Employed to Serve, and it was a little bit more chill. That one, like I was able to chat to like Sammy and Justine a little bit more.
Yeah.
They mentioned the puppy hat, which was yours, but I was borrowing it.
Well, Jesse mentioned the puffy hat. Yeah. Jesse Leach from Killswitch.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, I miss those guys."
Yeah. So there you go, puppy.
You're
known by Jesse
You were
Leach.
very much missed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, just their set blew me away. They played Element of One, which
if
I never thought they'd ever play.
Again, if we can find all our footage for this year's festival vlog, we'll probably splice in some footage from 2023, because there were some really good bands that year. I think one of my main highlights that I remember was watching Not Loose on the main stage.
Oh, yes.
And all of a sudden, it just chucked it down.
And
I remember I rushed to get my poncho on, and then they actually had to cut the sound on the main stage.
It was amazing, though. It was like... It was very much just that one localised set where it just pissed it down.
Yeah,
and then the rest of the time it was dry.
Yeah, because I think there was a little bit of rain for Employed to Serve, but not as much as Not Loose.
Yeah.
Because they followed suit on the main stage, I believe.
Yeah. And seeing Crowbar on that
same day. Crowbar were really good, yeah.
Who else was there? In Flames were great with the guy
Fit
with
for
the
an
guy with the
Autopsy.
bugle that they invited up on stage. Fit for an Autopsy. Yeah, that really sparked my love of Fit for an Autopsy.
Yeah, that set made us want to see them more.
And Decapitated as well.
Yeah, Decapitated was surprisingly
Again, I'm not
good.
the biggest death metal guy.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to believe, but I'm not the biggest death metal guy. But seeing Decapitated and Fit for an Autopsy, it was just both brilliant.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Ugly Kid Joe as well, who did produce one of my favourite sets of the whole weekend.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And this was the day of Megadeth.
Yes, so the headliners for 2023 when we last were there, it was Killswitch, Meshuggah, and Megadeth.
Yeah.
And I remember for Meshuggah, I wasn't half expecting it to not be a spectacle, because I had seen Meshuggah in a smaller venue. But obviously, when you are headlining a festival, there has to be a bit of sort of crowd interaction there, and they're just not that sort of band.
Not really.
And they didn't play Bleed, but they didn't play Bleed when I saw them in Nottingham as well. So
a lot of people think that song's quite overrated in terms of, like, Meshuggah fans will say that song's a bit overrated. Yeah. But, like, I wanted to hear that.
Yeah, as, like, more casual.
I think I was just tired. I was just really tired.
I remember, I think all of us ended up taking our chairs in and sat right at the back of main stage.
And we'll get to the chairs.
And we'll get to chairs later, because that's all changing.
That's all...
Obviously, we didn't go to Bloodstock last year.
No.
Last year, I know that Architects were headlining. I think it was a Monomath, and I can't remember the third headliner from last year. But we weren't there.
Yeah, we weren't there. But just to quickly wrap up, it was also probably the last time I'm ever going to see Megadeth, who are one of my old school favourites.
My one and only time, maybe.
Yeah. And typical Dave, he seemed to be in a bit of a mood.
Yeah, I remember there was like a inflatable unicorn floating around.
And he wasn't having
and
it,
I
was
feel
he?
like it got deflated by the security at
Yeah,
the
he
at the
wasn't
gate,
having it.
you know?
And it's like, oh, come on.
Yes.
Have a bit of sense of humour in your life.
Yeah, but
You're
what we
staying.
also love about Bloodstock, watch this for a segue. What we all love about Bloodstock is all of the bands that you can discover at the festival that aren't necessarily on the main stage. So one of our surprise acts from 2023, who are actually upgraded this year to the Sophie, is Waterlines.
And I couldn't be more delighted for them, quite frankly.
Waterlines were on before Meshuggah.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I was so hyped and so overjoyed by Waterline's set and that tiny stage.
It was what is known as this year as the EMP stage, but when we went 2 years ago, it was the Jägermeister stage. And it's literally just a small diddy stage in a small tent right adjacent to sort of the main stage.
Yeah, tiny.
It's so tiny. We saw a few bands on that stage. We saw bands like Dead Air there that year.
Think of it as the equivalent if 2000 Trees heads out there. Think of it like The Word.
That's probably a good equivalent.
Smaller.
But even smaller than The Word. And yeah, I told like the group about this band Waterlines because I'd been listening to them on my sort of research. And we got our mate KB to crowd surf during Waterlines.
And he's since got he told me after, I think he said that's the first time he's ever crowd surfed anything.
And that's
how much of an impression they left.
Yeah, and like I say, they are now back at this year's lineup, 2 years on from that. And they're playing the Sophie.
So how would you describe Waterlines? They're kind of metalcore
Shikari-esque. I think that's what
dancing. They covered Pretty Green Eyes.
That's right, yeah. But it was such a fun set, and I really hope I get the chance to see them again this year. But as of yet, we haven't had the Clash Finder, and Waterlines are playing on the Saturday, which is absolutely
already
mammoth.
Stacked.
Yeah.
Have we even gone through the lineup this year?
Saturday is stacked.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It has so much of my favourites on it.
I think you don't be surprised if in the vlog you see me sort of just in the same spot roughly for the entire day, because I am not, but apart from maybe getting in the pit for Creeper, I feel like there's probably going to be some craziness there.
Yeah. So the Friday, Famine, Convent, Shrapnel, Flotsam and Jetsam, Paleface Swiss, Orange Goblin, Lacuna Coil, Emperor and Trivium.
Yes, that's all the main stage bands. Yeah. We're not going to cover every band.
No, we're not going to cover all of it. And then the Saturday has Cage Fight, Warbringer, Harriet, Creeper, Kublai Khan, Fear Factory, Ministry and Machine Head.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just a ridiculously stacked day.
It's insane.
So, and it's just unfortunate that Waterlines just so happen to be playing the Sophie.
Yeah, they're playing the Sophie. And Phoenix Lake, who are from Nottingham. And again, they played Bloodstock 2 years ago when I was there. And they opened the Sophie on the Saturday, I think it was, or the Sunday. And I remember getting up early to watch them. And yeah, they're playing a much later slot this time around. So again, maybe pending the Clash Finder, which at the time of recording this is not going to be out until the following Monday, which is the Monday before we leave. Yeah.
That's the one thing I've got. I mean, that's one of the few things I've got against Bloodstock. Is that
the Clash Finder.
Their Clash Finder announcements are so late in the game. And as someone who likes to pre-plan what they're going to do, it might just water off a duck's back for a lot of people. But for me, who likes to plan who I'm going to see at these festivals.
Yeah, we literally do our homework on every single band, even if we don't end up seeing said band. Yeah. Well, we do Sunday, like to give everyone a bit of a shot.
Well, on Sunday, we've got Ghost of Atlantis, One Machine, Rivers of Nihil, August Burns Red, Feuer Schwanz, Black Dahlia Murder, All the Lost, Mastodon and Gojira.
So there's a handful on the main stage on the
there.
Sunday.
I think in general, Sunday is probably going to be one of the days where I'm going to focus on some Metal to the Masses stuff.
Yes.
Which is one of the brilliant schemes that we have in the UK, whereby it's essentially a Battle of the Bands type competition where you can get the chance to play Bloodstock.
Yes.
At a stage called
it's the New Blood
stage.
Yeah. Yes. And there's been a lot of bands there that have played there and worked their way up through the ranks as you were at Bloodstock. And actually last year, Zach's band from Mead and Metal,
that's right,
Chubb actually got to play that stage.
They headlined that stage.
I don't know about headlining it, but I know that they were on at the same time as Malevolence.
I want to say that they headlined it.
I can't remember,
but I still yet to see Chubb. I really want to see those guys.
We'll eventually get there for sure. But Robin, his Bloodstock prep, has been looking at a lot of the Metal to the Masses.
Indeed, yeah.
People.
Well, I just figured this year would be a great year to kind of. explore some new avenues.
Yeah.
You know? See what if the future of metal is in good hands, if you like.
Yeah.
There's a few bands I do want to shout out. So Monochrome is one of them, who I played to you.
You did, yeah. I quite liked them.
They're kind of got a kind of spirit boxy sort of vibe,
Yeah.
bit of Evanescence in
I was
there.
going to say the Evanescence definitely from the one that I listened to the other day. It was a little bit more laid back, not as heavy, but still very atmospheric and on point.
Yeah. We've got Headcount, who are very much, they love their crossover, they do. Love their crossover fresh. If you're into bands like Power Trip, I think they've even got a song called Power Trip. Then I can highly recommend them. Spitting Teeth, who are like proper aggressive, you know, deathcore, metalcore.
Yeah.
Cartographer, who are kind of modern metalcore, but really good modern metalcore, you know. Mantis Defeats Jaguar, who are kind of, they've got a funky element to them. It's very
Okay.
Teal Deer as well, who are the Nottingham
Yeah, they were
winners.
the Nottingham winners.
They are very weird. They're kind of, they've got like they're very hard to categorise. They've got like a proggy thing about them.
It is very much proggy,
At the same time, their vocals are really interesting. They do a kind of call and response vocal thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many vocalists they've actually got, but it's super interesting. If It Bleeds, I just love the fact that they're a band called If It Bleeds, and their main song is called We Can Kill It. So if any of you are fans of Predator out there, go and check them out. But they're another hardcore act. Yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff that some bands of which have only got like one or two songs on Spotify. So,
but that's the beauty of finding those discoveries.
Yeah,
you know?
In terms of like non New Blood stages, I mean, obviously I can talk to death about some of the main stage bands I love, but it goes without saying if you've seen some of our other vlogs. So I'm going to keep it to like the lowlier stages for some of these. Firstly, My Diligence, who are on the Friday, they are very much a kind of, if you like Mastodon, and if you like kind of big, kind of slightly slow riffs, but like really monolithic sized music and quite atmospheric, then they're definitely for you. Barbarian Hermit, which I think is one of my favourite names out of all
that is very cool,
bands.
to be fair.
They have got a very Nola, sludgy, stonery kind of sound, and it's really, really cool, very catchy. I've already turned our mate Tom onto them. I think he's going to see him. And the last shout I want to give are my OG boys, as I mentioned earlier. These guys I've known for 11 years, I think, at this point.
Yeah, since you've been at uni.
Yeah, I first met them just after I graduated university in Canterbury. And these lads, I was at their very first gig at the Lady Luck in Canterbury. Shout out Lady Luck. I miss you guys over there. They're a band called Famine. They are, I guess, if you like bands like Candlemass, St. Vitus, Cathedral, kind of epic sounding doom metal with a bit of Alice in Chainsy stuff thrown in there, synchronized headbanging, and a witchy frontman. You know, they basically did Green Lung before Green Lung came along.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I've only seen Famine once, and that was at a free show.
Was it really only once at the Tap and Tumbler?
Yep, they played a free show in Nottingham when you were with me, and that's the only time I've seen them so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing them on the main stage on the Friday.
They are opening. Well, they're either opening or they're second.
They might be second.
The main stage.
Yeah.
And when they told me that, I was gobsmacked. I was overjoyed.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good set
They
for
have
them.
really worked it because they went from winning Metal to the Masses, which I was at the final at the Red Leo in Gravesend, and we all turned up to support them, and they won. It was an amazing feeling. I couldn't go to that year's Bloodstock, sadly, but they played the New Blood stage there, and then they moved from that to the Sophie, which was the aforementioned year I saw them at, and now they're finally on the main stage. So the fact they're finally getting this recognition is just blows my mind. These are guys who are mates of mine. Like personal friends who I'd go out to bat for. And I remember when I bought their second album, it was either their first or second album. I think it might have even been like one of their EPs. I got a handwritten note from Tom, the frontman, Tom Vane, saying thank you so much for all your support over these years, Rob. And I'll never forget that. You know?
Yeah, you've still got it.
I've still got it somewhere out there. If I can find it, I'll probably put it in the vlog.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I love those guys. I couldn't be happy for them. Go and check out Famine on the main stage on the Friday.
Yes. So, yeah, I'll just throw a few names in here just to who I'm mostly looking forward to. Lacuna Coil, as I mentioned earlier, and if you've seen my reaction to the Bloodstock lineup when they were mentioned, I was very excited to see them on there. They're a band that I've been meaning to catch for years and years and years. Again, you've probably got to thank Guitar Hero for the fact that I know who Lacuna Coil are, because they were on Guitar Hero 3, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been meaning to catch these lot live for a while, and I'm very much looking forward to that set. And obviously that's going to be before the band announcements for 2026.
So, well, she's got a terrific voice.
She does,
Christina.
yeah.
And I never really delved too far into it. I know Simon's a big fan as well.
Yeah.
I never delved too far into them until like the past few weeks. They've got some really good songs.
They do have some bangers.
And their cover of Enjoy the Silence as well by Depeche Mode is a really great cover.
Yeah, it's awesome. I guess I'll also get the obvious out of the way. I'm very excited to see Creeper on the main stage. Again, as I just mentioned earlier, that's probably going to be my pitting time on the Saturday.
You're going to get Barrier for that, do you reckon?
I don't know about Barrier, but I'm definitely going to be sort of following the Creeper heads that are going to be there. I'm expecting a Sanguivore heavy set. I'm not expecting too much from the previous 2 albums.
If it's a set anything like their download set from
it's
last
probably
year,
going to be similar to the download
I wouldn't
set.
mind that, to be fair.
Yeah, but I'm expecting a lot of pyro, and I know that Will and Hannah and the rest of the gang obviously are going to be well up for this show.
Plus their new song, which I mistook... Headstones, which I mistook for a Ghost song when we first heard it.
I cannot wait to hear that live.
It's a great
for the first
tune,
time.
to be fair.
It's it's been in my head ever since it came out.
I'm starting to feel like I'm getting Stockholm syndrome from Creeper, because like I've been battered. I've never been the biggest Creeper fan, but everyone has been battering me over the head with how great they are.
It's funny because you've seen them with me at least twice.
I've seen them on my own once.
Yeah,
with puppy supporting them.
There you go. And then I guess in terms of like the headliners, I'm looking forward to all of them really, but I'm mainly looking forward to like Machine Head, to watch them for the first time. I missed them obviously at Download.
They saved my Sunday at Download.
Yeah.
They really perked me up and made me kind of go, yes, this is why I love, going to festivals and stuff.
Yeah, and then
after the disaster of the Saturday evening, which we mentioned enough times.
Of course. And obviously Gojira closing out the festival is going to be really, really fun. Obviously, we're going to see Obituary afterwards, most likely, but Gojira is obviously the big sort of dynamic closure of the weekend.
We have a potential surprise in store as well.
Yes,
during that set.
So look out obviously you'll see it in the vlog if you're not there, but look out for stuff during Gojira. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
And then I guess the final shout out I'm going to give for Bloodstock before we talk about some other stuff that's not music related. I'm going to shout out Throne, actually. They're playing, I believe, the Sophie on the Sunday before Mastodon. I hope it's before Mastodon. Because I don't want to miss.
You are correct. Yes.
Yeah. See, I've got good memory. But Throne. They came up, I believe, just randomly on a Spotify made for you playlist type thing, and I didn't entirely clock it was them at first. Like when I was actually researching and stuff. But no, they sound right up my alley.
Very kind of hard. Them and Kublai Khan are very much the kind of
the hardcore,
the big hardcore acts at the festival.
And I always see Throne merch everywhere at gigs and stuff nowadays. Are
they one of these bands that's got really big through like TikTok and stuff?
I don't know, but either way, I'm looking forward to seeing them for the first time as well at Bloodstock. But let's talk about some other stuff that we're going to get up to at Bloodstock.
Well, I do want to give 2 quick shout-outs. Two very, very quick shout-outs. 2 bands which I never thought I'd ever see in my lifetime, because I didn't think they'd ever come back or come over here. Nail Bomb, before Trivium, which is Max Cavalera's side project from the 90s, very famously played 1 gig at Dynamo Open Air in 1995 and then never played another gig again.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be
and they're inexplicably back to do this.
Yeah,
and that tent is going to be rammed.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to be quite strategic for that one.
Sure. And then Static X, who are another band I never thought I'd see.
And they're on after Machine Head.
Just bangers, just evil disco bangers from the evil new. Static X was one of the first hard new metal-y bands I heard on the soundtrack for Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder, so shout out to them.
Yeah, so...
And then Fear Factory and a bunch of
but obviously we all know what those bands are going to be.
Yeah, you know how much I love those guys, so I'm not going to dwell on that for too long. On-site stuff.
Yes, so I'm very much looking forward to this year, the gaming tent. Mm-hmm. I only very briefly went into it 2 years ago because, again, that year was so stacked and I had pretty much days full of bands. But I think this year I'm going to be sort of exploring a little bit more of what Bloodstock has to offer aside from the music. And yeah, the gaming tent is right up my alley. I'm a massive nerd. I think they've got like Doom-centric stuff going on.
Well, for the record, they did put out a post today. It said they'll host hand-on stations for 2 standout indie favourites, Windblown from Motion Twin, a kinetic co-op roguelite packed with air-dashing combat and attitude, and Neon Abyss from Vivo, a relentless running gun that builds twitch reflexes with big engine, bigger guns.
Okay.
And then there's like...
They probably have Guitar Hero there.
Yeah, there's a management sim thing that's going on there, which is interesting. Yeah, so it has. So these are the playable games, right? So we've got Doom.
Yeah.
Obviously Bethesda. 2 Point Museum's brand new DLC, Windblown and Neon Abyss. And then you have live showdowns and tournaments with prizes.
Yeah, that's what they normally do with the Guitar Hero stuff.
You kind of...
I was half tempted to do it.
Half tempted to do Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I was half tempted to do it a couple of years ago, but I didn't end up doing it. I chickened out. But maybe this year.
And then you have also drop-in play sessions with developers, which I think is pretty
cool.
So
okay. I'll have to check that out. I do enjoy talking to like game devs and stuff. For anyone who doesn't know, my background... is in the games industry before I work where I am now, but I have a lot of time and love for talking to game developers about all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I'll probably be checking some of that out. But yeah, in terms of other on-site stuff, they've got rid of the fairground. I know that.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a lot of people's joy.
I never really do that.
It was a little bit of an eyesore, wasn't it? If you come towards Sophie, and you can only ever hear the sounds of the fairground if you stand outside the Sophie, you know.
Yeah, so that'll be nice to sort of see how that is.
Will still probably be there.
Probably. But they also obviously have all the fun stuff in Midgard after bands, like bin jousting.
Yeah, they've got official bins now.
Yeah, they had that since last year. Yeah. They'll probably have the sumo suits again.
Yeah, they've got the soft play areas back, which I think is an interesting decision.
Yeah, because that takes up quite a bit of camping space in Midgard.
Yeah, especially if it's a sold out thing. You know? Yeah. And you obviously got Lemmy's Bar, you've got the axe throwing as well.
Yes.
Which I have done before, it's very fun.
Yeah, they've got obviously all the food and drinks vendors. I think they have a Guinness bar. They've got Kraken there this year for like slush stuff.
Sure. I just need to find out what my
meals are.
What my Yorkie replacement is.
It's going to be Spudman for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, if you can get in the queue, I bet he's going to be inundated with you.
Yeah. Just a good quality jacket potato. That's all I want.
Well, usually he got Jamie Jaster to serve some jacket potatoes last time they were there.
And actually, I've just remembered as well that they do have some eating contests and stuff.
Yes.
I'm not going to be partaking in any of those.
Well, Bunny Chow's one, Beb. Just saying.
I know, but I like to enjoy my Bunny Chow. I don't want to scoff it down.
Indulge in it.
Yeah, I like to savor every bite of my Bunny Chow.
I bet our friend Stu is going to.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I might again if I find myself not watching any bands at the times that they're on, I'll probably catch them. But yeah.
So one or two more announcements that were made. They're doing a thing now where you can't park chairs in front of the main stage.
Yes. So as we mentioned earlier, a couple of years ago, we were able to take our camping chairs in to the arena, and we were able to sort of sit near the main stage and watch Meshuggah from there.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They've got designated areas, and basically it's pretty much the entire width of the main stage.
Yeah, it's kind of
all the way back to.
Yeah, it's kind of parallel to the screens, I guess, from what we can see.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't be alarmed if you have a physical disability,
a pre-existing medical
and
condition,
and you do need to take a chair into the arena
because they will let you.
But it's more people like myself and Rob who don't have a medical condition, and if we wanted to take our chair in, they might not let you this year.
So all I'm saying is, if the weather is going to be really shit this year, which it's not looking like it's going to be.
I had a look on AccuWeather today, and it looks like we're not going to get any rain.
Well, if so, I bring bin bags to sit on.
Yes, we have mentioned this before in our download packing video. It's a big life hack.
It's a very useful hack for a festival.
Yeah.
And then the whole tent thing they just announced.
It'd be interesting to see how this is going to be policed.
I can understand it, but it hasn't gone down well with a few people.
So again, for the record, what it seems to be is that security, when you get there on the Wednesday or the Thursday, they're going to be sort of checking that your tent is appropriate for the party, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for Rob and I, obviously we have our 4-man tent for the two of us, and that should be fine.
Essentially, if you're one guy who has
bringing a 5-man or a 6-man,
5 or 6-man tent, you're not going to allow in.
So they're trying to obviously get people to bring in the appropriate size tents for your appropriate group, and then if you don't happen to have that, they're encouraging people to go to Fat Frank's and buying tents from there.
I think the thing that people took umbrage with is that it literally got announced last week.
Yeah. I mean,
which is not very much time at all if you're in a hurry to buy, because I spent all of last weekend airing out my tent in my parents' garden again.
Yeah, it was absolutely filthy from trees.
Giving it a proper solar wash, giving it, spraying it with chemicals, the works.
Yeah, because at 2,000 trees, obviously it was quite a dry year for us, so all of the dirt and the dust from the ground was just stuck onto our tent, and we didn't really see it until we'd actually packed it away and got it out again. But
we always like to air our tent out after every festival, and if a week isn't much time to set up tents and do stuff, so I kind of understand a few people's grievances with that. Yeah, but it's because the festival sold out.
Yeah, I think that again, gazebos might be a talking point. I think our group were talking about bringing the gazebo. We might not be doing that now.
No.
Just because of the space issue that we might have. Obviously, with us camping in Ironwood as well, it's a smaller camp compared to Midgard.
Yeah.
Obviously, Midgard is the biggest campsite at Bloodstock. So we'll just obviously have to see how it goes down next week when we get there.
There'll be so many people there. We could always, and so many people we know there. We could always crash in someone.
Well,
else's
again,
decision.
I think a lot of our sort of friends and people that we know are going to go towards Ironwood, so that's probably going to be where we'll set up camp as well this year.
We'll see how it is,
Yeah.
I'm just expecting Midgard to be rammed. The last thing I want to cover, and to bring it kind of full circle, if you like, obviously there's going to be a lot of Ozzy tributes this year, including there's a wall, like I mentioned earlier, where you can write your condolences or write anything.
Yeah, for anyone who wants to know where that is, it's going to be on the left side of main stage as you look at it, and it's kind of near where like the Sophie Lancaster charity stuff is and all that thing. And I think it's 17 meters long.
Something like that. So there's definitely plenty of stuff to write.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be sort of a place where people can write condolences messages and just whatever they want to get out of them.
Because obviously initially I still do want to pay my respects to Lemmy, because they're bringing back Lemmy's ashes and they're bringing back the all that kind of stuff, which I'm delighted by, because I missed out on that last year not going. But...
and it's nice that they're bringing that back, because that would be a good thing for us to both do. Obviously, again, I feel weird doing like camera stuff for that.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
we could always
we could always like take photos and that's about it.
I get it. I get it.
I always feel a bit weird with that stuff.
Sure.
But no, it's going to be nice to be able to leave a message for like Ozzy. It'd be interesting to see where those like wall pieces are going to go, whether they're going to give them to Sharon.
Could be a permanent fixture. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all goes. Obviously, fair play to Bloodstock as well for organising this such short notice.
Such short notice as well. It's superb.
A lot of people were sort of calling for them to sort of rename the main stage or name a stage, but I think Vicky was quite right in her video explaining why they weren't going to do that, because obviously Ozzy never played Bloodstock. Obviously, he had a massive impact on heavy metal music as we know it. But I think Vicky was right in saying, Dio is the main stage and Sophie is the second stage, and that's not going to change.
I like the logic there.
Yeah.
I did see one thing though. I thought would have possibly been quite a good shout.
Yeah.
To rename the new Blood tent to the Ozzy tent.
Oh, okay.
Because he started the whole heavy metal thing.
Yeah.
So,
but again, I can see why they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I think if anybody in the sort of festival world is going to name a stage after Ozzy, it's got to be Download, in my opinion.
100%.
So, and again, that's because, Ozzy played Download many a times, as we've sort of spoke about already.
Yeah. And in terms of like bands that are, Gojira have been covering Under the Sun. Mastodon have been covering Supernaut.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if anybody...
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few Sabbath songs getting an airing from bands there.
Yeah, if anybody was playing the original Back to the Beginning show, if they have that sort of Sabbath song or Ozzy song rehearsed, they'll probably put it in the set. But I don't know if everybody's going to be doing it.
No.
But
I think it'd be great though to hear a few live versions of those songs getting airing.
One last thing.
At the end of the day, that is why we're all here.
Yeah, and one last thing I do recall them saying is that at the Silent Disco this year, at Bloodstock, there is going to be a specific Ozzy, not hour, but I think I've heard murmurs of 1 a.m. being a time where every sort of Silent Disco channel is going to sync up. And there's going to be like an Ozzy tribute at the Silent Disco.
Can't wait for that.
So, I mean, we are going to be doing the Silent Disco probably most nights, to be honest. It's a little bit different to the Trees Silent Disco in that you don't have to pay a deposit for a headset. You just turn up to the new Blood
But you
stage.
do have to queue up.
You do have to queue. We queued for about 10 minutes, I think, last time.
And then they kind of do a one in, one out thing as well. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But look, thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
Yes, it's been another good one. A bit of a memorial one this time, which is the first one we've had to do of this caliber.
I mean, I'm personally, I'm so glad that I got to air my honest feelings about Ozzy, and I think his memory will undoubtedly live through multiple generations.
Absolutely.
Even when possibly we're even long gone.
Yeah. I think so.
His legacy is that intact and that perfect,
Yeah.
And yeah, we will hopefully see all of you at Bloodstock.
Yes, I'm very excited for Bloodstock.
I'm so excited for it, honestly. I can't wait to catch up with some fellow vloggers potentially, or other mates of ours.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Vlog. There will be a vlog for it.
Yeah.
In terms of other gigs we've got coming up, we are seeing Oasis on Sunday.
Yeah, we are seeing Oasis this Sunday.
Which is unbelievable. They're long been one of my favourite bands. I'm not entirely sure we're going to put a vlog out for that.
No, I think that's just going to be a moment for us.
But on the next podcast, we will
definitely talk about it for sure.
We will talk about that.
But yeah, all that's left to say is that I'm Laura.
I'm Rob.
And we are the Old Pause Project. Thank you all for listening. And yeah, have a good
R.I.P.
one.
Ozzy, love you.